Dad,
What?
you will never hurt Mom and me, would you?
What do you mean?
In The Shining 1980, the Overlook Hotel was filled with ghosts, whispers, and an evil presence that lived within its empty, silent rooms and hallways. The real horror of it all wasn't actually hiding in the Overlook Hotel's hallways. It was someone who was sitting at the typewriter typing away his next book, or so we thought. In Stanley Kubrick's The Shining 1980 film, Jack Torrance starts off as a man chasing redemption. He saw an opening to become a caretaker for the Overlook Hotel for 5 months during the winter. He wanted a fresh start for his family and a chance to write his next novel with no distractions. He saw the offer on the table for this job and he took it with no hesitation. But as the movie progresses, isolation, frustration, and his own inner demons twist that dream into a nightmare. What began as a story about a haunted hotel slowly becomes something much more darker. It became a story about a man haunted by himself. Today, we will be breaking down why The Shining doesn't just turn Jack Torrance into losing his mind, but how it turned him into the real monster of the movie. Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson, is considered the primary protagonist of the film. He is also the main antagonist of The Shining. One other great horror movie where the main character becomes the monster in the movie is Psycho 1960. Yes, Marion Crane was the leading character, but after her unfortunate death, the story moves on and focuses on Norman Bates. Not many horror films tend to be like this. In the beginning, Jack Torrance was a recovering alcoholic and struggling writer who took the job to look over the hotel during the winter. On the surface, he was looking for a peaceful place to write and rebuild his life with his wife, Wendy, and his son, Danny. But beneath the calm exterior lies a man full of frustration, resentment, and full of anger, particularly towards his family and his past failures. Stephen King, the creator of the book, has publicly stated that he didn't like the movie. The main reason is because the way Jack Torrance was portrayed in the beginning of the movie. Rather than depicting Jack's slow descent into madness driven by the hotel, as how it was in his book, he felt that the film showed Jack as a crazy man from the get-go. This removed the tragedy of a good man being consumed by evil. In this case, we'll be specifically talking about the film since I haven't read the book at the time of recording this video. There were really ghosts that were haunting Jack and his family while they were staying at the hotel. While the Overlook Hotel does amplifies the horror, the seed of Jack's madness was already inside him. He was already a man overloaded with anger, insecurity, and frustration over his failed writing career. The hotel doesn't create his darkness. He was feeding on what was already there. This made him far scarier than any ghost because the evil feels human, not supernatural. The Overlook Hotel was more than just a haunted place. It was a mirror that reflected Jack's worst impulses. Him seeing Lloyd, the bartender, offering him a drink was feeding into his addiction and his desire to escape responsibility. Him seeing the woman in room 237 tempts him, playing on his lust and guilt. Coming in contact with Grady, who was the previous caretaker of the Overlook Hotel, became someone who convinces Jack that he must quote-unquote correct his family. This was the same phrase used before he murdered his family with an axe. The hotel didn't possess Jack at all. It mirrored his true intentions, showing that the real monster was the man looking back in the mirror. Jack saw himself as a great writer trapped in mediocrity. When he isolates himself at the Overlook Hotel, he blamed everyone for his failures, his family, his job, and eventually reality itself. His obsession with creating something great twists into madness. It was his own ego, not the ghost, that pushes him over the edge. Jack's rage toward his family comes from his own feelings of failure and insecurity. He blames Wendy and Danny for holding him back from success, when in reality, he was angry at himself for not becoming the writer or father he wanted to be. His frustration turns into resentment, and that was what the hotel feeds on. During one of his drunken outbursts, he grabbed Danny too hard and dislocated his arm. It wasn't premeditated, it was a moment of rage that revealed how unstable Jack truly was. Deep down, it showed that his temper and guilt were always living inside him, long before the hotel began messing with his head. The repeating line of "all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy" wasn't just madness on paper. It was the exact moment we saw that his creative ambition disappeared. The very reason he came to the hotel, to write, to achieve something, turns into the source of his insanity. His ego and frustration with failure took control, and he took all that rage inside of him and projected it to his family. By the time he picks up the axe, the movie wasn't about a haunted hotel anymore. It was about a father becoming the threat inside his own home. In the end, he gave in into his ego. Jack believed he deserves more than his life had given him. The Overlook Hotel offers him power, recognition, and escape from guilt, and he takes it with no hesitation. Once he took what the hotel was offering, he stopped seeing Wendy and Danny as family, and now he started seeing them as obstacles. He accepted the hotel's illusion. By embracing the ghost and the promise of belonging, he chooses delusion over reality. And lastly, Jack loses his soul to obsession. The writer, husband, and father died long before the final chase through the maze. What was left of him was an empty shell of himself, driven only by anger and pride. The evil influence of the Overlook Hotel drove him insane. He wasn't a supernatural villain. He was just a man who wanted greatness, but found madness instead. He became the real monster because of his inner demons, ego, and resentment. This was far scarier than the ghosts that lived in the Overlook Hotel. The Shining wasn't only about supernatural evil. It was about how fragile the human mind becomes when isolation and failure break it apart.